Hi everybody, we're going to kick off now. Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully you had the opportunity to attend the Day 1 and Day 2 keynotes. We have Executive Vice President and Chief Technical Officer Otto Berkes joining us today. Copies of the book, digitally remastered, will be available in the back of the room if you'd like one for yourself. Otto, welcome. And we've also got Ayman Sayed, who is President and Chief Product Officer, joining us today as well. So we'll open it up to the questioning. I'm sure everyone knows we are a little bit limited in time today, but we want to try and receive as many questions as possible, so we'll take the format of one question, one follow-up. Feel free to kick it off. We've got microphone runners.
Hi, Jason Bloomberg with Intellex, also write for Forbes. I'm struggling with CA's distinction between Agile and DevOps. In particular, looking at DevOps and saying DevOps is about testing and the performance. It's like, well, what about the Dev and DevOps? You stuck it over here in Agile. And it just strikes me as confusing, not just for us as influencers, but also for customers. So what's the deal separating out Agile from DevOps and making different groups?
So Agile is a methodology and a management philosophy that manages the execution of anything. It's not unique or restricted to software development. It's that same concepts have been applied to a wide range of industries, activities. It applies to software, applies to building, it applies to factories, and it regulates or it describes a process and a flow of breaking down a problem into smaller pieces, working iteratively with heavy involvement from customers, defining a minimum viable product, breaking large deliverables into smaller pieces so that you can deliver them more effectively, get closer to the customer, incorporate feedback into evolving what you build. With the advent of Agile and its use in software development, it sped up the business of building or process of building applications and getting them ready to release quickly. However, when it came to the back end of that process, taking it from development to operations, that still offered an impedance mismatch. The process slowed down as you took these software releases and tried to do performance testing, do security testing, to post them and deploy them on servers or in SaaS if it's a SaaS offering, or deploy it to your customer if it's on-premise. DevOps addresses that bottleneck by ensuring that the same methodology and philosophy that sped up the building of applications with Agile extends to the testing, the deployment, and operation phases as well. Finally, the concept and philosophy of DevOps also have implications not just in the development process, but in roles and responsibility of different teams. It's breaking down the barrier and shifting the personas between a developer, a QA engineer or a tester, and an operations engineer. These boundaries are blurring more and more. The industry is evolving to everything shifting left and happening earlier in the cycle. That's what we mean when we talk about DevOps. We've arranged our portfolio about the notion of Agile management and Agile planning throughout that governs the whole flow from an idea to a business outcome. And then we utilized DevOps as a set of enablement to speed up every aspect of that process, including building with API management, including testing with our test optimization, test automation, including deployment with the release automation, including operations of these applications and making sure that you offer a differentiated customer experience with our application performance management, infrastructure management, and analytics that we use to connect these two to offer a differentiated customer experience. Does that go ahead?
Excuse me, Vance McCarthy, Integration Developer News. You know, this is a great lead into the question I had, so thanks for asking that question. You know, I've heard a lot about an innovation platform or an innovation suite for the build to change story that we're talking about with the digital enterprise. You enumerated API, testing, deployment, operations, security, of course, is part of that. Are there pieces that are missing that CA intends to go out and either acquire or invent? Or are these the components of what makes this new innovation platform? Thank you.
Perhaps I'll take the first part in answering this question, and then I'll ask Otto to weigh in. We've articulated the flow, and we said we have a role to play to empower our customers and enable them to speed up every aspect of that flow. That speeds up the time between an idea and an outcome and breaks down the barrier between every phase and the next one. We've aligned our portfolio and our investment priorities around accelerating every part of that flow with emphasis on agile DevOps and security. With the investment in all these three fields, we're creating a differentiated customer experience and harnessing insights to feed back into improving the products that our customers offer and evolving them as business value. You see that reflected both in our investment priority internally. Otto shared a number of incubations we're working on in the accelerator. You would see these covering the span of management, application development and development acceleration, into testing and testing optimization, all the way into how do we operate and provision and deploy these applications. In a changing world where a number of technology disruptions and changes, as well as business model shifts, we are looking at technologies such as containers, microservices, analytics, machine learning, to help evolve our offering and increase the value from our products that we're offering to support every part of that aspect. We've laid out a set of strategic priorities and focus, including shifting every activity left. By that means making it happen earlier in the cycle. We want applications to get tested in every stage during the development. We want to break down the barrier between the developer, the QA engineer, and the operations engineers, allowing them to work more closely. We need to shift also equally security to make sure that it's happening in every phase of the flow. This means secure DevOps. It means performance testing happens earlier. And we're doing this with the acquisition of BlazeMeter and adding it and integrating it in our portfolio. Where do we go from here? We have a number of incubation and internal investments. It's not only inorganic, it's mostly organic, as well as inorganic. And we're going to continue to look at products and investments that help us complete that flow.
So to that point, there's an answer to that question that's the right answer for technologies and tools and processes today. There's also the answer that will emerge that will be different over the next 3 to 5 years and beyond. So the ecosystem is constantly changing. New technologies are emerging that change what's possible and how software is designed, built, and deployed. And we need to, as Ayman said, continuously evolve existing products and also explore new products that may be needed, and a great opportunity to build upon what we have today. Ayman mentioned containers. It's a great example of a new technology in the industry that has us rethinking what's how software is built, creating new efficiencies, new best practices, new design tools. Two of the incubations, as I mentioned in the keynote, are squarely focused on the container ecosystem and surfacing new opportunities and helping to rethink what's possible using that set of technologies. Analytics is another great example. We're looking at analytics as a fantastic tool to enhance existing products and provide new value. We're also exploring new products, net new products that are fundamentally built around analytics and machine learning. So it's going to be a blend of enhancing what we have today and exploring new products and new opportunities.
Just one quick follow-up on the analytics part. Certainly a lot of business stakeholders get the first bite in analytics these days. Given your heritage with ITSM and all sorts of metrics and indices that would help things be better, can you just elaborate a little bit of how you might bring analytics to the DevOps cycle?
Absolutely, happy to. So several examples come to mind, but we at CA here, we've been working with our customers, solving some of the most difficult problems and challenges that a large enterprise or a medium or small enterprise face. We have deep expertise in several industry domains, whether in your financial service, insurance, manufacturing, and retail. We've had a lot of experience in these domains. As such, we're able to bridge and bring advances in technology and the potential that technologies such as analytics and machine learning bring to solving some of the most challenging problems for our customers. Good example of how we're using analytics to offer an increased value for our customers is what we've done with application experience analytics, app experience, CA app experience analytics. It is an example where we've taken an analytics stack and we've combined and connected application performance management with infrastructure management. That you're able to see how your customers are experiencing your applications on any channel that comes through, whether it's web, mobile, or even wearable app. You're able to correlate these axes and see what experience they're getting. It's everything from usage pattern, data, the response time, experience. Then you're able to take that and feed it to evolve how these apps operate, improving that experience with every interaction. We've talked this morning about the CNN Politics app, how it's a manifestation of this. CNN Politics app included our CA Live API creator to speed up the creation of that app and tap into a large amount of data that they use to generate their political reporting and election results. More importantly, analytics that enables them to get deep insights into how the users are experiencing that app, how they're using it. It's not just the data and the contents they're looking at, but the actual interaction and experience. Then they feed insights from this experience and these insights to evolve the app and make it better experience for the end customer. With analytics, CA app experience, CA application experience analytics, we're able to provide that differentiated user experience and harness these insights across omni-channel, whether you're coming through the web, mobile, or any other channel.
So, at its heart, analytics is all about being able to make better decisions faster. You wanted to focus on the DevOps space, and I'll highlight an accelerator example that is at the heart of DevOps. And DevOps ultimately is all about designing, building, and delivering code. And one of the incubations in the accelerator is called Copilot, and it aims to create intelligence around your code base as an enterprise. Where are weaknesses in the code? Where are opportunities for enhancement across the aggregate of the code base and on an individual contributor level? And all of that, being able to do that relies exclusively on analytics and machine learning. So I think that's a great example of where the future is headed.
In terms of current investments, where are we making future bets and so on? We're embedding analytics and machine learning pretty much in every part of our portfolio. It helps you see how your testing is effective, what tests you need to add, what value you're getting and coverage you're getting from these tests. It helps you look at your collaboration and project management aspects of building and how to evolve them. It guides and gives how a developer, a tester, and operations engineer should prioritize their work and what they should expect in a day ahead of them. It helps us greatly in security, proactively detecting suspicious behavior and access patterns and mitigate breaches before they happen. This is effectively what we've done with CA Threat Analytics for Privileged Access Manager. That's another great use case of analytics. Then finally, you can extend this to automating every aspect that requires humans' guess whether it's looking at a sea of red alarms and trying to figure out what is happening and what outage there. It's moving from decoding these data points into insights to proactively and predictively being able to dynamically provision infrastructure applications to prevent the outage from happening in the first place. That's effectively what we've done with the operations intelligence product on the mainframe.
Hi, Janice. Randy Hefner, Forrester Research. And I have a question that on the surface seems relatively straightforward, but I think has a lot of nuanced implications, and I'll direct it to Otto and Ayman if you want to chime in, certainly. But it has to do with the definition, vision, purpose of API management solutions. And so, and what I'm trying to get at with the question is what guides your future development in that space of the solution and where it goes. But the center of the question, the way I want to ask it is, when you're talking to customer executives, how do you describe what API management is, what its purpose is, and what they'll use it for?
So maybe I'll start at a high level and can complete the answer. But in the way that I see API management fitting into the application economy ecosystem is that it's really the nervous system between the enterprise and the outside world. It is the conduit through which you can establish bi-directional communication with your customers. It's the gateway. It's the permeable membrane between the enterprise and everything outside it. So it's an absolutely critical component to being able to deliver value outside the enterprise, both to customers and to partners. It's also now just a dominant pattern in terms of developing code. I mean, you can't really develop applications and services without using APIs. APIs have existed since the invention of the computer, but the APIs that we're talking about now are really web APIs that are focused on being able to communicate in a highly distributed way, literally across the planet. You can't do that without having some order and process to that communication. You need security. You need to be able to manage the communication bandwidth. You need to be able to handle scalability, and that requires specific dedicated technology to be able to do that. Looking ahead, what are the emerging patterns that we're seeing now is the rise of microservices and containers, which are related to microservices. Again, APIs are the building blocks. It is the essential building block for connecting microservices and containers together. So again, that does require the use of API management to orchestrate and synthesize that communication. So API management, we're absolutely not done. There's a rich green field of further enhancement and evolution of API management. One last thing that I'll throw in, I can speak to it as well. Given the fact that APIs are the bridge between you and your customer, and the communication pathway, there's a lot of potential opportunity to use analytics to derive insights from how your APIs are being used.
Absolutely, I think that's a great articulation of APIs, what you use them for, and how you build applications with them. The way I would describe it to our customers is, it's the primary vehicle for offering services and consuming services from other players in the ecosystem. So think about it, if you're offering a service, whether it's Google Maps, whether whether it's PayPal payments, any sort of service, you're offering it through a set of APIs. These could be external APIs, could be also public APIs or private APIs within an organization or business. It's how you connect data and process flow across different and various business systems. This day and age, if you're building an application, you're rarely building it from scratch or building it in a vacuum. You're connecting to a large ecosystem of partners and services to build that application, from payments, from maps, from application, from identity, and so on and so forth. The way I describe it is, it's a modern day supply chain. It's reminiscent of the old hardware supply chain. This is a software supply chain. It enables you to connect services and offerings from different providers to build an application. In the process of doing so, managing these APIs, securing them, publishing them, consuming them. This is where we come and add value to our customers and help them stitch these applications together, automate the creation of these APIs, secures them and manage them. As the world evolves and IoT use cases take a larger role, it pushes the scale properties, it pushes the envelope from scale. Think of IoT now, number of devices, number of APIs you connect with, data sources. Also, as you start transacting business values through applications, the amount of money involved and the business critical transactions you're doing requires an ever-increasing level of security. That's where API gateway, portal to publish and consume APIs, live API creator to automate the process for both web apps as well as mobile apps become extremely important for our customers.
Just a quick follow-up, because I do want to give others some time, but Otto, you mentioned looking forward, future, you mentioned microservices, you mentioned IoT, you said in previous questions that analytics are important. Would you say there's some major future direction for API management strategy and development that you hadn't touched on in your remarks? And I'm looking at just kind of bullet list kind of stuff so we can get on to somebody else's question.
We're working and pushing that envelope and the relevance of API development, including integration, to the larger business context of what our customers face as they bring together heterogeneous and disparate business systems together and applications. That is guiding a number of internal investments that we have not addressed today.
And I did mention in the keynote some new incubation efforts around IoT specifically, so stay tuned.
Okay. Thanks.
Hey, Donnie Brickles over here on your right. 451 Research. How's it going?
Hello.
All right. Hey, I was really excited to see some of the actions this year based on Otto's keynote from last year around three areas, which were containers and microservices, analytics, and open source. It's the last one I want to drill in on a little bit because I've seen the accelerator and emerging product capabilities around both of those other pieces. And as far as open source goes, it seems like Blaze Meter's integration with some open source tools was the main piece. I was kind of wondering, are there things I'm missing, and what's the plan and strategy going forward with that?
Open source is absolutely a part of the ecosystem. It's a tool, not a business model. So you can apply various business models using an open source framework. I see it as a potential accelerator for adoption in certain segments of the ecosystem, particularly in the developer-centric portion of the ecosystem. There are no open source projects in the accelerator at this point, but that's only because we haven't identified yet an opportunity where it makes the most sense. But certainly, I'm absolutely open to it, and would welcome an open source based effort for something where that made the most sense in terms of customer value, adoption, and business model.
certainly leverage open source in building our products heavily. A lot of building blocks that we build with are open source projects. BlazeMeter is a great example of offering enterprise service, enterprise grade, scalable service on top of an open source, number of open source components. We'll continue to increasingly do this. We see a lot of value that we can add for our enterprise customers in adding a layer of orchestration, scale, and enterprise readiness on top of open source frameworks that uses and leverage open source and generate value by offering orchestration on top. You will see this in our DevOps portfolio as we shift more and more into investment into functional testing and test optimization as well.
And a quick follow-up. You mentioned you're building on top of open source projects. Do you contribute back to any of them?
We do. We do have a number of groups upstreaming to a number of open source communities.
Question up front on the left.
David Norfolk from Law Research. I like your emphasis on design thinking and shift left, but how do you make sure that the outputs of a group of all stakeholders collaborating around the whiteboard actually get squeezed into the DevOps delivery pipeline, and that none of the outputs of the less technical stakeholders are lost? I mean, can you generate test cases from a design workshop, for instance, or are the test cases always generated from the more technical end of the process?
That's a great question, David, and I'm glad you asked it. I have a good story to tell. So, in CA, we really believe in practicing what we preach. We are living, and we have been living in the last year by the principles that Otto outlined in his modern software factory. We have transformed our development team to fully agile, not just in tools and processes, but in cultural values and how we engage with our customers. In our business units and various product teams, customers are invited into our PI planning sessions, into the quarterly steering meetings. We sit with them and we open and showcase everything we're working on. They get direct, unfettered access to engineers working on the product. They help us with guiding the prioritization. We work with product owners, Scrum Masters, with various development teams. They know what's coming down the pipe, and they give us feedback on what we've done, and they help guide our prioritization process. Results of this prioritization process was input from customers, sales team, product marketing, pre-sales, technology architects, as well as product managers and general managers, is what builds our pipeline and feeds into our backlog and what we work on. And then, how do we translate this into what happens in DevOps? Products such as Agile Requirement Designer, which we use internally, looks at the product requirements, looks at the Agile user stories that have been prioritized, and automatically generates the test cases that we will run to test these products and features as we build them. And it evolves the test cases as well as build new ones as new requirements come in or as we define new user stories.
I can amplify Ayman's points on design. So for example, the CA Design Center in Santa Clara is co-located next to the CA Accelerator. So there's constant interaction and feedback between design and development. One of the things that I can certainly speak to is that Paul Pedraza, who heads up the design organization, the philosophy of the design organization and the design team, isn't just to apply a UI veneer over a product. It's to really deeply understand the product, the customer, what problem is being addressed, and to really have design be something much deeper than just the last mile.
Question on the far right of the room.
Melinda Blue from IDC. I'm very impressed with the ways in which you guys have transformed to be significantly see that providing really interesting capabilities to teams that are trying to move forward quickly. And I also see it potentially being coordinated with other products in the CA portfolio that provide PPM at the high end, right? CA PPM, and then also what you have with the products formerly, the artists formerly known as Rally. So I think that be helpful. You did refer to that. You talked about accelerators as this kind of interesting opportunity to engage in all these cool and groovy innovation projects. But you didn't talk about how that can then feed innovation in other areas and then be leveraged and come off of that. So I wanted you to comment on that. And then the other, if I can, is around API, lifecycle manager for APIs. So not merely management, but quality. If they know if they're broken, then whatever. How are you going to be addressing that both in traditional development and in IoT? That was a lot. Thanks.
Terrific.
I got some sleep last night. That's why.
So I'll answer the first part of that question. It's a great question, and we don't think of the projects in the accelerator as one-offs. We think of them as parts of a greater construct around CA's portfolio, and the journey for an incubation can take many shapes. For example, it's not out of the realm of possibility that, and in fact, it's likely that some of the incubations will become features of other products, over time, depending on how the customer validation journey evolves, and also how some of the existing products in Ayman's portfolio evolve. So, we're staying very flexible, in our thinking and approach, and ultimately, focus on delivering, the right value in the right way to the customer. One of our advantages is that, even though these incubations are run in a VC model, they are part of the larger CA construct. So for example, the Waffle folks are co-located, in Boulder with, the rest of, the Agile Central team, and there's, constant, engagement and sharing of notes and ideas and collaboration. So, we'll see, how that, shakes out in Waffle's journey. But it's a great opportunity to work in a non-siloed way on these incubations.
And there are a number of proof points we're showing this week to show how both the accelerator, as well as all the structure we put for modern software design and both from process and design is paying off and impacting our products. We've announced this week a set of enhancements to CA Agile Central, previously known as Rally. This is a design signature project where all the new screens and user interface that leads to that ease of use and quick time to deployment was done with help from our design studio, doing design sessions with customers, watching them use a prototype and evolving these as we watch over the shoulders that actually happen. Another proof point would be an accelerator project that we graduated into the product organization and now are leveraging multiple projects or multiple products is Project Jarvis, which is our analytics stack. That's what we're using in AXA, that's what we're using in tying application performance management and our unified infrastructure management. And we're deploying this across a range of projects and products. Now, to the second half of your question around complete lifecycle management of APIs, we are certainly investing in this, and stay tuned to future product announcements, what's coming down the pipe from rounding up our complete support for the complete lifecycle, including testing, security, validation. These are all investments that we're making and development projects that are happening in-house.
That's great, thank you. I'm also interested in the ways in which cognitive, I'm assuming service is a piece of the cognitive machine learning piece that you talked about, layering across the portfolio products. And I'm assuming that that will also be applied both in traditional dev environments, leveraging systems of record with the mainframe piece, and then potentially as you move into IoT, moving there. Well, that's kind of nirvana, but I'm curious about that.
We're adding data scientists to our team. We're applying machine learning algorithms to our products to add this level of intelligence to our product. This helps in every aspect from operation, test optimization and efficiency, dev, ops and automation, all the way to managing and planning your work. And we've already showing some use cases and proof points with the announcement this week, and we're continuing to evolve the rest of our portfolio with more investment into machine learning algorithms, data science on top of our analytics stacks, to leverage these insights in making the products better and take the guesswork and add a higher level of automation so that there is less involvement from operations staff.
Any other questions in the room? Well, I have a question that can keep us going perhaps, and it was something that came up earlier. With the new tagline, built to change, how does that become substantiated, Otto, from your perspective in technology strategy? And then Ayman, from your perspective in how product development is done at CA?
You know, our philosophy is to make sure that we're constantly evaluating and reevaluating customer needs, technology trends, industry trends, and essentially create a feedback loop that informs our ongoing plans. Obviously, we have a longer-term strategy, but we want to make sure that we fine-tune and adjust that strategy to what's really happening at the ground level. Just coming back to the accelerator, the true north ultimately are our customers. And one of the things that is, I think, incredibly valuable with how we've structured the accelerator is that the customer is literally at the heart of the journey for each and every one of those incubations. So Andrew's stories today were on stage were very interesting in terms of insight gained on an ongoing basis that directly impacted the evolution of that product. But that example is not unique. That is the pattern that we're establishing with all of our incubations and in fact all of our products.
Absolutely. The world and the industry landscape is changing at an unprecedented pace. Our customers are not only facing how to reinvent and build their businesses and accelerate digital transformation, they're also navigating through a large number of technology shifts, business model shifts, changing and increasing customer expectations. We are helping them navigate through this by being more nimble ourselves. We're using agility, DevOps, and enhancing and increasing our development flows. We've sped up our development cycles so we're able to introduce products in months instead of years, and make enhancements, new features available in weeks instead of months. We're investing in new areas and employing automation, machine learning, analytics to fundamentally change how the tools and enablement, the role they play in empowering our customers, giving them insights in every phase of driving an idea from an initiative, a business return, or a business outcome. We've changed the discussion we have for our customers from talking about technology, tools, and enablement, to talking about business outcomes and the initiatives we want to drive to grow their business. How do we accelerate the return on that? And how we use technology to enable and speed this up. You will see it in how our portfolio is evolving. We've shifted a significant amount of our investment on our focus from existing to new, and we'll continue to do this as we move forward at an even faster pace.
And the key word there is faster pace. And really, the name of the game is velocity. Our job is to give our customers the tools needed to go faster and iterate faster.
Absolutely. because that's what Built to Change is all about.
Thank you, gentlemen. With that, we'll wrap up the Q&A. We do have lunch being served in the exhibition center for everyone, and I highly recommend if you have any follow-up questions, we've got the PR team on site as well as the analyst relations team on site to help you out. Thanks very much, guys.